Hi, everybody. Today we are answering the question for caregivers who feel like your life has passed you by, or you're in your 60s and you're a caregiver and you're trying to figure out how to get the most out of life when you're in a very challenging situation. So I want to start by answering just a question, right? So honestly, what does a 60-year-old look like? Well, if you Google that, right, you're going to find a bunch of pictures of people who look like your grandmother or your grandfather, or people who have gray hair and wrinkles. And I can tell you that in the 20 years that I've been doing this, taking care of older adults and working with caregivers, I have met some amazing 80-year-olds who honestly looked younger than some 40-year-olds and were more active than some 40-year-olds that I know. So whether you are a caregiver or not, whether you are the person who needs care or not, age really is a lot up here. It's a lot to do with our minds and how we look at life. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. My website is PamelaDWilson.com. On there, a lot of hope, help, and support for caregivers and aging adults about aging, health, and everything. But today I'm going to share 5 tips for you about how to get the most out of your life. And these apply to you whether you are 60 or 70 or 80 or even 20 or 30, okay? So the first one is to only worry about things that you can change. As a caregiver, sometimes we worry about everything and we can want to fix everything in our lives to the point where the only thing we're thinking about up here is solving everybody else's problems, and we're not focusing on ourselves. So part of the issue with caregiving is we can get frustrated with family members, like siblings who we think should be helping care for a parent, or other people. And many times the frustrations come because these people will say, well, can't be that bad to take care of mom or dad, right? Well, they really don't know because they're not doing it. And the caregivers then become so angry and frustrated with all of these people that you're just not living your life. So this is where only worrying about or dealing with things that you can change, right? You can't change family members who don't want to help. You can't change your parents who resist doing things. Sometimes you can move them along, but change for anybody is really hard. So the point of this is to worry about yourself, think about yourself, put everything else aside. There are so many problems out there in the world. Stop watching the news. Stop taking on everyone else's life's problems, because truly, other people are not living your life. They don't know what your life is like as a caregiver. And they're not going to live the consequences of the actions that you're taking today. You are. So do what you can today, be present, and set all of that worry aside. Number 2, and this is a big one, especially when we're frustrated in caregiving situations, it's to be kind. And the way that you can think about this is ask yourself, how do you respond to situations where something doesn't turn out like you want or expect, or you feel like someone's being mean to you or life is unfair? Do you become angry, temperamental, fussy? Do you judge yourself? Do you judge other people? Are you, as that caregiver, becoming a person that you don't even like? Part of this is to learn to accept things as they are, and again, go back to that control situation. Only work with things that you have in your control. So if an interaction with somebody doesn't go well, you can be angry, but seeking payback or trying to get even, those are unproductive actions. They're actually negative actions, and they hurt you more than anybody else. And here's a quote on that. I don't know if any of you remember Albert Einstein, but he was a great inventor earlier in the 1900s. And one of his quotes was, "Weak people seek revenge, strong people forgive others, and intelligent people ignore things." It's the idea of putting out of your mind things that you can't control, things that could make you angry or upset you, because you have peace of mind and you have control over your emotions, and you're the one that chooses how to react. it's something for you to think about. Number 3 in how to get the most out of your life, whether you're 20, 40, 60, or 80, is to treasure, maintain, and build new friendships. So let's say that you're married or you have a partner. Well, eventually the reality is, the unfortunate reality, is one of you is going to die first. And then how will you spend your time? Who will you spend your time with? Do you have friends today that you have long-standing relationships with, who you have things in common with? Have you thought about the idea of building friendships with people who are 10 to 20 years younger than you? They will keep you young. And also friendships with people who are 10 to 20 years older than you. If they're active, and regardless of their physical state, they can have a lot of life wisdom to share with you that you can learn from so that you can maybe avoid some of those unexpected things that happen later in life that you have no way of knowing about today. Realize that good friends, your best friends, those are going to be the people who are going to be at your side during the worst of times and the best of times. So make sure that you have some of those in your life. Next, how to live a good life, 20, 40, 60, 80. Accept responsibility for where you are. And so in caregiving, many of us realize when we look at our parents that they haven't saved enough money for care and they don't have a way to pay for care. Look at yourself. Are you still working? Do you realize that you haven't saved enough money for retirement because you're seeing what's happening with your parents and you're like, oh my gosh. Or maybe health issues are preventing you from doing activities, from continuing to work. These are uncomfortable realities to face, that we didn't save enough money or we didn't take care of our health or we have all these other issues. We can either dig our heads in the sand or we can say, okay, here's where I am today. This is what I got to work with. How am I going to choose to change this? Because the reality is we're living the choices that we made today. And it took us years to get here, right? It could take us years to be able to change this situation. And so we have to be motivated to do that. And this is why accepting where we are today and looking forward can change our path. Then think about what's most important to you. Are things important to you, or is personal freedom and choice important to you? And the way that you can look at this is, are you a person who has to have the latest thing, right? Do you have to go out and buy that iPhone or the Android or have the latest, biggest big screen television or car or whatever it is? If you are that person, you may be chasing things versus enjoyment or personal freedom. Are you somebody who can just pick up and take off and go somewhere this weekend or go somewhere for a week and you don't have a lot of things that you have to take care of? Or have somebody come to your house and take care of your pet or your plants or something or someone else? So a great way to notice this is to look at your house, look at your living environment. You have closets full of stuff, a garage full of stuff. Not having a lot of things or having to take care of a lot of things supports the idea of personal freedom. Now, this isn't to say that you don't have children or a spouse to take care of or aging parents, but the more that you have to take care of, the more complicated your life becomes. This is kind of where setting all those boundaries that come in that say, well, I can do this and this, but I can't do these things. Now, if you're a caregiver, think about this, and you have all this stuff, right? Your aging parents have all this stuff. They've lived in their home for like 40 or 50 years. If they ever have to move out of their home, they're going to live in 400 square feet in a room. What do I mean by this? If you have parents who live in an assisted living community or an elder community or care home, all you get is a room. So you have this 4,000 square foot house, and eventually one day you're going to move into 400 square feet. What are you going to do with all that stuff? You know, we are so attached to all of our stuff and all of our things, and we think, oh, people are going to want this when we, have to sell it or give it away. Well, the reality is nobody wants your stuff, right? So to live life to the fullest, again, think about all of these things. Think about having experiences versus things, and that is spending time with your friends and your loved ones and doing things that you enjoy. It's deciding what's important to you and how you want to live your life. It's taking responsibility for the present so that if your life isn't the life that you dream of it being, you still have time to create all of that. It's also, and this is the big one, probably one of the biggest ones there, it's controlling your thoughts and your mind and your outlook and how you look at life and whether you're positive or negative and whether you want to be angry at the world and angry at people for your situation and how you got here. That's a waste of time. You have so much ability to change all of that. And again, it doesn't matter how old you are, 20, 40, 60, 80. You can change it. And so getting the most out of your life in your 60s was really the question for this video. If you want to do that, you start looking at that in your 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. You can start looking at it in your 60s, but then you have much less time. You have to work a little harder, but it doesn't mean that you still can't get there. I'm Pamela D. Wilson. My website is PamelaDWilson.com. Thanks for being here with me for this video. Please follow my YouTube channel, hit the share button, check out my website. There's a lot of hope, help, and support for caregivers and aging adults about family relationships, how to take care of your parents and yourself, how to be positive, how to be healthy, and how to live a good life. Thanks for being here. I'll see you all again soon in another video.